Do you want to find out who Pixie is, what her story is, and how her powers are? Well, you can join me as I hereby summon all my imps to join me on my adventures through Marvel Snap. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. So we got a brand new card today, and that is Pixie. Pixie is a Welsh mutant gifted with wings and psychotropic properties. As one of the many young mutants enrolled in Xavier Institute, she experienced a deep trauma when a demon attacked the school, looking for the Mutant Magik, thinking Pixie was her. Pixie is a hybrid, being both a mutant and a fairy. Despite her name, she is an average height for a female and does not shrink. She possesses powers granted to her by both her mutation and her innate magical abilities. There is no distinction between which powers are the source of which abilities. Pixie can generate a dust that causes powerful visual and auditory hallucinations in her victims. This dust can be affected by others by being inhaled through their skin or by breathing it in. Often the hallucinations are calming and pleasant images such as teddy bears, bubbles, and unicorns. Pixie has a shattered soul, with part of it being stuck in the occult realm of limbo. Her damaged soul grants her the ability to communicate with the dark arts. Her diverse and useful set of abilities and as well as her cheerful attitude have made her an integral part of the X-Men. Pixie is a spellcaster with winged flight that can banish demons, teleport, or put you to sleep. Her chief best weapons are her pixie dust and her soul dagger, another piece of Pixie's shattered soul that was taken and forged into a dagger that only harms magical creatures or objects. She can store the soul dagger in nothingness and summon it whenever she desires. Pixie can generate a dust that causes powerful visual hallucinations. This is represented in Marvel Snap by her making you think that the rest of your cards in your deck have different costs when she pops in. In Marvel Snap, she is a 2 cost 1 power card with the on reveal of shuffle the cost of all cards in your deck that started there. In my opinion, she is a 2-star card, and I'm about to explain why. So the first card that we gotta look at when we're looking at Pixie has gotta be the Mr. Negative. This comes the closest to representing how Pixie is and how Pixie can be used. When you play Mr. Negative, if you do not get Mr. Negative 4 or 3 with Sabu, I should say, which how most people get it, you are in big trouble. The same is true with Pixie. If you don't grab her right on 2, the chances are that you're not going to get the use out of her deck. She is not a card that you just slip into the deck. She's a build-around card. And the biggest problem with that is, if there's just as much chance that, like, if you throw Wasp and say She-Hulk in your deck, that the Wasp can turn into the She-Hulk, so that you have a 0 power She-Hulk. Or if you're using Wasp and Yellow Jacket, that the Wasp can turn into the Yellow Jacket. Now, there is some idea of, if you want to, if you feel like doing it, you can actually bring in the Triple M. So if you bring in the Triple M, the Mobius and Mobius, which is on the 3-drop, you can play her on 4. The problem is if you play Pixie on 4, you really don't have much of a deck left already. you're really struggling to make this deck work. That's like playing Mr. Negative purely on the floor. Yes, you can get something good off of it, and when your opponent plays Pixie, they're gonna get it right on 3, they're gonna get it right on 2, they're gonna somehow get it on 1, I'm not sure how they pull that off, and they're gonna just make the deck work for you. But when you throw me a deck, it's gonna be 12 games before this card ever shows up. And it, again, the problem with that is it's not a get it off card to just slip into a deck, it's a build around card. When it comes to power-wise, it's just as much power as putting in a Bucky Barnes that never gets destroyed, so you're not playing this for a power card. The other problem with it is it doesn't work with, say, cards like Brood, because it doesn't change the power, it changes the cost. So if you flip the power around instead of the cost around the sub of your card, you could have some interesting stuff like that. It changes the cost. So basically you're trying to find hard for what, like She-Hulk, where it will get shorter, or stuff like Doctor Doom, or maybe even stuff like Null or Artem Zoa, where you want to get them out earlier and sneak them out. You have to be cautious about death though. If you do put death into your deck, and death is not lowered when you play out the Pixie, you will have a card in your deck, somewhere in your deck, that will be an 8-cost card. So there will be a card that actually doesn't ever become playable unless you already have out the Mobius and Mobius, or you've gotten death down lower. There is another issue with Pixie, and that's the problem of it doesn't swap around cards in your hand, so you have to draw to get extra power out of this. And the only card that really lets you get more than one draw is Adam Warlock. And I'm not sure you'd want to throw Adam Warlock into this just to make it work, because you'd have to put down the Pixie on 2, and then draw the Adam Warlock as a cheap card, and then draw more cards, because that's how you're supposed to get the real power out of her, is by cheating stuff out. I would give her a 1-star rating, which I don't like to get because of how bad 1-star ratings are. But she doesn't quite deserve a 1-star rating, because she does have that burst potential, that nice potential. I just don't sure what deck you're playing with her right now. I think maybe somewhere in the future there might be more cards that work better with her. I almost wish she was a start of game ability, that she just scrambled around stuff as soon as you got her, and then you can make her like a 1/6 or a 1/8 and have that neat little ability where she had a high power cost, but she was going to change what her normal cost was. Even if you brought her down to 1 instead of 2, it might make her see more ability, so she might go through a buff down the road, but I cannot predict what a buff is going to be down the road. I really wanted this card to be decent, to be good, to have some fun with the game, but right now, as the card sits, it's gotta be a build around card. You can't just throw it into a random deck that you didn't get it and hope for the best. Otherwise, why are you really throwing it in there? And I can't, in good faith, put my power behind, or my word behind, a card that might be good in July or August in the future. I gotta take it where it is right now, and where it is right now, it's a 2-star card. And that feels bad, because again, you're gonna see your opponent, they're gonna get it on 2, they're gonna get the most broken thing on 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and you're gonna go, how is this card not worth playing? And you're gonna buy it, and once you bought it or get it, you're gonna play it 2-3 times, and it's just not gonna show up. It's gonna be your 12th card draw, that's gonna be a Robin card drawn somehow, and that deep down in your deck, it's not gonna help you. I'm not sure what deck wants this, what deck needs this, and can afford to play other cards if this isn't in there. Because that's the problem with Pixie, as she exists right now. is if you throw her into a deck, you made a deck around Pixie. You can't just take a Hitmonkey deck and throw a Pixie into it, because then what's the point of putting the Pixie into there? I want this card to be good. I want this card to be fun. But right now, I don't think she is. For the rest of this week, you got some really weird cards this week. Other than Pixie, who's in this week, you got Mobius and Mobius. Mobius and Mobius is really not showing itself up anymore. I don't remember the last time I've seen a Mobius. I'm not sure the last time it made a difference for a Mobius. Power cheat hasn't really been an issue. The two big problems with power cheat are with maybe what's coming out this particular month with Hope Summers, and maybe with Loki, but Mobius and Mobius doesn't help you with the Hope Summers, because Hope Summer gives you extra energy. She doesn't reduce the power. And that's the problem with Mobius. He used to be so needed at 2, and at 3 he's just a hard to fit in. It's hard to find and justify a reason to play a Mobius and Mobius in a 12 card deck. I really think that Mobius could be pulled up to a 4 or 5 and still not be the most broken card in the world. The other one for this particular week is Spider-Ham. Spider-Ham is a neat card for Conquest. A neat card for a surprise attack. But once you play it a couple times, you'll realize that your Spider-Ham always hits something that your opponent doesn't care about. Sometimes it'll get something dead. Sometimes you'll get a concede even out of it. But the problem is if it hits something that your opponent doesn't care about, they just will play it for the rest of the game. And it's a wasted slot for you. It used to be a lot better when it used to hit multiple times, and I almost wish they would bring it back to do multiple times, or I wish they'd bring it back to hit the highest card. I get why it doesn't hit the highest card anymore, because that's kind of broken, but I almost kind of wish it would just do a random card each time, because it's so lower than it used to be. So for this particular week, there's nothing in this particular week's cache that I would recommend that you spend your keys on. I, however, spend a key because I always spend key. So let's find out what's in the box. What's in the box? Let's all find what's in the box. I got Pixie. I have no idea what deck I'm gonna make with Pixie, but I will type her out on this Friday. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, remember, play for fun,